So Square showed off a little bit more of Kingdom Hearts 3D, which I was pretty excited about just because, A, I like the Kingdom Hearts franchise, but it's also going to be on the 3DS, so anytime that there's going to be additional RPG stuff, I'm just like, hooray! Well, this time around, there's one interesting aspect to this I didn't really expect, and that was an extra character showing up from another Squaresoft franchise, and that was The World Ends With You, which is on the Nintendo DS. Now, there's a character in it, Neku, and apparently is showing up in Kingdom Hearts 3D. This I didn't really see coming. I was just like, wait, what? Really? And I was just like, wow, what does that hold for the rest of the game? I'm starting to wonder if any of the newer games that Square Enix has brought out, if they're going to have additional characters from them just showing up in this. If so, I'll be really, really happy, like all fucking smiles. Just because that's one of the biggest reasons why I always liked the Kingdom Hearts games, was just seeing who was going to pop up, what worlds you were going to be tossed into and everything. It was mostly just like the video game worlds I was more interested in. Nothing against like the Disney worlds and everything, it's just, I'm a big gamer, obviously. You're watching my channel for a reason. So, you know, if they're just like, oh, you're going to be dropped into a Dragon Quest world, up, you're going to be dropped into a world of Bouncer, up, you're going to be dropped into a world of Brave Fence from Musashi, I would shit. Seriously. Like, they're like, here, we're going to drop you in Midgar from Final Fantasy VII. Oh, you're on a high wind now. And, you know, just all this kind of stuff. That kind of stuff makes me really happy. So seeing another character from another RPG, which is really, really good, is pretty awesome. The other thing was, I noticed that the gameplay is, like, a lot crazier now. Like, Sora's doing some crazy parkour style shit, I'm not even kidding. He's like grinding on rails and jumping off things and just going absolutely like apeshit bonkers everywhere and going nuts. Which I'm all for because I like fast and furious gameplay. That's why I like Ninja Gaiden and Devil May Cry and everything, so yeah. The thing about Sora just going nuts with the Keyblade and just decimating all the Heartless and everything, yeah, that's pretty awesome, so I'm looking forward to that. I am interested in what the 3D will entail. Some of the people that got their hands on it, they said it was good, they said it wasn't necessary, but then again, anybody who picks up like a 3D game could just be like, the 3D isn't necessary unless it's part of the core gameplay. But yeah, it'll be interesting just to see how they implement that into it. So Kingdom Hearts 3D, yeah. It's another game that I'll be picking up, and any Kingdom Hearts fan, you definitely should be too. Squaresoft announced that they were bringing out Theatrhythm Final Fantasy, and just the name alone, I had absolutely no clue what I was going to expect. I was just like, what the hell are they talking about? Theatrhythm? So it turns out that this is probably one of the cooler ideas that they decided that they were going to go and run with, just because it's clever and inventive. So again, we get another rhythm-based game, but it's a rhythm-based game with RPG elements thrown in, and there you go. So we have a Final Fantasy and a rhythm game put together. And the idea of taking those two things, you wouldn't really see coming, but from looking at video footage of it and pictures and everything, it looks like it could work. Okay, one, the fact that it has Final Fantasy songs ranging from the first one all the way up until 13 is fantastic, because I'm a huge, huge fan of all the Final Fantasy music. All the Final Fantasy games have top-notch, great orchestrated music that just kicks ass, including like the games like, you know, Crisis Core, for instance, which has a lot of guitar-oriented stuff, which I love that a lot too, because it's a nice mixture of both. But anyway, it's just nice that they're going to be including music from all the different games, so, you know, obviously your ears are going to be really, really happy. But then it's the fact that when you're playing the game, you know, you have to make sure that you get all the inputs right, because you'll be going on missions and you'll be fighting random enemies and you'll be fighting bosses. So the better you do, the more damage that you'll be doing, and you'll be able to get through the battle. And it's just cool because you'll be able to get like little chibi versions of a bunch of characters throughout all the Final Fantasy games and fighting bosses that everybody's very, very familiar with. And, you know, it's just the fact that, like, it is a cutesy game, and that might turn off some people. Me, I personally don't mind, just because it's a style choice, an art choice. I could really give a shit less. I'm a person that can play all the Kirby games and Pokemon games and stuff, and I'm not bothered that it's cute. I could really care less. So long as the game is fun, that's all that matters to me. And from looking at this, yeah, it most definitely is looking like it's going to be a whole lot of fun. So for anybody that's, like, a fan of, like, rhythm games, or at the very least, I hope that they're a fan of Final Fantasy games, because if somebody wasn't a fan of a Final Fantasy game and went into playing this just because it was a rhythm game, that would catch me off guard. But still, just a really interesting concept, and makes me kind of happy to know that they're not, you know, sticking with the tried and true, and, you know, they're actually testing the waters and trying something different. So yeah, this is something from Square Enix I'm extremely excited about, and I'm hoping to get my hands on really soon. One game that I'm absolutely fucking stoked for, and I say this wholeheartedly without any kind of problem, is Final Fantasy Type 0. Holy shit. Okay, I don't actually get, like, overly excited about some games, but just watching this, especially the mature content in it, because it's Final Fantasy with blood. What? You don't actually get to see that. I mean, that really does not happen with a Final Fantasy game. Hell, it doesn't really happen in many RPGs now that I think about it. It's kind of a bummer. Huh. Oh well. But anyway, within a Final Fantasy game, when does that happen? But the thing is, I've watched several trailers for it, I've watched gameplay footage, and every time I do, I'm just like, I need to play this. I need to play this so much. And the thing is, a lot of the PSP offerings for Final Fantasy games have been absolutely amazing. I'm just like, oh my god, that's awesome. Like, okay, look at Dissidia. Dissidia is really good. I like both of them. There's the Final Fantasy 1 and 2 remakes that were put on there. There's Final Fantasy Crisis Core. It's just like, dude, these all kick ass. I'm sorry, but Type 0, yeah, if it's going to continue the same trend of really good Final Fantasy games on the PSP, then I'm all for it. The only downside to it is that with the Vita coming out, I kind of wish that the game was going to be on the Vita, to be honest. Not to go and dismiss it, you know, and the PSP for that fact, but it's just, you know, with the new hardware coming out, I mean, granted, it's a last hurrah for the PSP and everything, and this is a good way for it to go out, is with some really killer AAA titles, but I would rather see it on the new handheld and everything, and that would give the Vita that extra push that a lot of people would want, like, you know, this is a killer app, I'm sorry, gotta get it. Have to get it. Anybody that's a big fan of Final Fantasy or even RPGs in general. And watching all the trailers and everything, I mean, it's absolutely chaotic. And it's got another real-time battle system where you're running around and everything, similar in a vein of like Star Ocean and the newer Final Fantasies and everything. So that I can totally deal with, and, you know, it just all around looks extremely awesome. Like, I don't know, I'm really excited about it, and that actually makes me happy because there's been a lot of times, as many of you know, that I've been pretty pissed off at the choices that Square Enix has been making. But at the same point, they've been, you know, countering that with, like, bring out a lot of this other stuff. You know, they have the rhythm game that's coming out, and they're announcing this, and I'm just like, not too bad. They have Versus coming out, that's looking pretty good. I'm just like, okay. Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see. You know, I'm really glad that they're doing stuff like this. They have really good offerings coming on the 3DS, but I mean, Type 0 is definitely like near the top of my list of everything that they're bringing out just because it looks fantastic. So yeah, if you're an RPG fanatic like myself, or you're just a fan of Final Fantasy games, or if you have a PSP and you're just bored to death because there's no, like, really big games coming out for it that you give a shit about, well, at least there'll be one. Because this, yeah, it's definitely going to be really kick-ass. I'm hoping that the story's going to be really good. I don't know a whole lot about it just yet because most of the stuff that I've been seeing is still in Japanese without any kind of, like, subtitles or English translation. So yeah, once they start releasing stuff like that and get to see it, that'll be more exciting. But overall, yeah, Final Fantasy Type 0 looks like it's going to be fucking awesome. Lords of Apocalypse. Now, I was definitely keeping an eye on this game, and then I got to see some of the stuff that they showed off at the Tokyo Game Show, and was just like, well, I'm glad I was keeping an eye on this, just because Square Enix is planning on making this like a release title in Japan. I don't know if it'll be a release title here. If it can get translated fast enough, I'll definitely be happy about that. But the thing is, if they don't, I'm still gonna end up picking it up. One of the reasons why I'm mentioning it is just because the game looks really awesome. Like, it's kind of got a hack and slash style feel to it, and the thing is, it's also got the quick button timed events, similar to God of War. Sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. Anyway, So it's got some of the quick button events that has, and it's also got, again, more blood. And it's kind of interesting that I didn't see much blood from any kind of Square Enix game whatsoever. Like, they never went that mature route, or at least went and added blood to any of their games, or decapitations, or deep, you know, taking somebody's limbs right off, or monsters, whatever the case may be. But the fact that it's happening in multiple games that they're bringing out recently is pretty cool. Not to say, like, you know, I'm only happy because there's violence in the games. It's just, I'm kind of happy that it's being taken in a more mature direction. Not so much that it needs to be over the top or anything like that, but it's just kind of nice to be able to see something like that, because anybody that is wielding a sword that's like this fucking wide and everything and like taller than them, and they're cleaving things, I'm sorry, but they should be like super duper in pieces everywhere. Like, it should become people confetti and monster confetti and just gone. I'm sorry, they should split down the center, not just fall over from it. Because if that was the case, man, I would not be scared of any of these dudes. They'd run up at me and they'd be like, got this big ass sword, you scared? I'd be like, no, I'm just gonna fall over after you hit me. I'm not even gonna bleed, I'm just gonna lay down like I'm taking a nap and shit. I'll be knocked out. But yeah, anyway, but back to the game, it looks like it's really good. Again, it's got the hack and slash mentality, but at the same point, it's still got like the random battles and stuff. And I am really like excited about playing this game just because so much RPG goodness is coming out, and I'm really excited about it. Whether or not the game is going to be scheduled for release here remains to be seen, but I would like that to happen. I seriously just, I don't know, I'm super excited. So yeah, Square Enix, they definitely have been doing a lot of good, despite some of the things that they did, I'm like, eh. But yeah, with games like this, it's definitely making us fans very happy.